This is not a story about which jet is better. It's a story about two very different answers to the same question. How do you survive modern air combat? One aircraft was built to disappear, to be seen last, to strike first, and to let sensors fight before pilots ever turn their heads. The other was built to dominate the sky through speed, agility, and raw aerodynamic control, to win when the fight refuses to stay distant. The F-35 and the Eurofighter Typhoon were not designed to fight each other in the same way. They were designed for different assumptions, different threats, and different futures. And when stealth meets speed, the outcome isn't decided by power alone. It's decided by who controls the fight and when. Modern air combat is not defined by speed alone or stealth alone. It's defined by assumptions. And the F-35 and the Eurofighter Typhoon are built on very different ones. The F-35 Lightning II was designed for a world where the first aircraft seen is often the first aircraft lost. Its core strength is not how fast it flies or how tightly it turns, but how little it reveals. Stealth shaping, radar-absorbing materials, and sensor fusion allow the F-35 pilot to see the battle space long before becoming part of it. Targets are identified, prioritized, and engaged at distance, often without the enemy ever knowing where the threat came from. In the F-35's world, the fight is meant to be controlled before it begins. Information is the weapon. The aircraft acts as a node in a wider network, sharing data with other aircraft, ships, and ground systems. The pilot's job is less about wrestling the jet and more about managing decisions under compressed time. The F-35 assumes that modern combat rewards first detection and first shot, not prolonged maneuvering. The Eurofighter Typhoon comes from a different tradition. It was built with the expectation that air combat may still become close, dynamic, and chaotic. Speed, climb rate, and extreme agility define the Typhoon's character. Its design prioritizes energy dominance, being faster, higher, and more maneuverable than what it faces. The Typhoon pilot relies on powerful radar, helmet-mounted targeting, and superior kinematics to impose pressure once contact is made. Where the F-35 seeks to avoid being detected, the Typhoon assumes detection is inevitable and plans to win anyway. It is designed to thrive when rules break down, when distance collapses, and when pilots must make rapid, physical decisions. Neither philosophy is outdated, neither is complete on its own. Stealth shapes the opening of a fight. Speed and agility shape what happens when plans fail. And the reason the F-35 versus Typhoon comparison matters is not because they compete for dominance, but because together they reveal how modern air combat is no longer fought in a single dimension. It is fought across time, information, and control, long before the first turn is ever made. The problem with modern air combat is that it rarely unfolds the way designers intend. Weather intervenes, rules of engagement change, sensors degrade, and opponents adapt. This is where the contrast between the F-35 Lightning II and the Eurofighter Typhoon becomes most revealing. If the encounter begins at range, the advantage leans towards the F-35. Stealth reduces detection distance. Sensor fusion clarifies targets early. The aircraft is designed to shape the fight quietly, forcing the opponent to react to missiles, warnings, or gaps in information before ever seeing the threat. In this phase, the F-35's goal is simple: decide the outcome before proximity creates risk. But not every encounter ends there. Rules may restrict weapons. Targets may merge with neutral traffic. Electronic conditions may clutter the picture. If distance collapses, the fight enters a different space, one where assumptions collide. The Typhoon is built for this moment. Its acceleration, climb rate, and agility allow it to change geometry quickly, regain energy, and pressure an opponent into defensive decisions. Where the F-35 seeks to preserve separation, the Typhoon seeks to compress it. This does not mean stealth suddenly becomes useless. It means its value changes. At closer ranges, awareness and timing matter as much as signature. The F-35 pilot must manage energy carefully, avoid prolonged maneuvering, and use positioning rather than brute force. The Typhoon pilot, meanwhile, must exploit speed without overcommitting, because even at close range, information gaps can be fatal. What emerges is not a winner, but a sequence. At distance, stealth dictates tempo. At medium range, sensors and coordination matter most. At close range, pilot judgment becomes decisive. Modern air combat is no longer a single contest. It is a chain of moments, each favoring different strengths. The F-35 excels at controlling the opening. The Typhoon excels at surviving and dominating the chaos that follows. The outcome depends less on which jet is superior and more on who forces the fight into their preferred phase. That is the real lesson behind F-35 versus Typhoon. Not that one replaces the other, but that modern air power now lives at the intersection of invisibility and speed, where success belongs to those who understand when to be seen, when to vanish, and when to commit. The comparison between the F-35 Lightning II and the Eurofighter Typhoon often ends with the wrong question: which one wins? Modern air combat doesn't reward simple answers like that anymore. The F-35 is built to prevent fights from becoming fair. Its strength lies in shaping events before they unfold, using stealth, data, and coordination to compress time and remove options. It reflects a battlefield where information travels faster than aircraft and where survival depends on being unseen until the moment action is unavoidable. The Typhoon represents a different truth. Not every fight stays distant. Not every plan survives contact. When structure breaks down and space collapses, speed, agility, and pilot authority still matter. The Typhoon exists for the moments when control must be regained, not assumed. What these two aircraft reveal is not rivalry, but complementarity. Modern air forces increasingly rely on both approaches: stealth to open the fight and performance to manage what follows. The future is not about choosing between invisibility and speed. It is about knowing when each matters more. That is why this debate endures, because the real contest is not between two jets, but between two ways of thinking about control in the air. And in modern combat, the side that understands timing better than technology is the one that survives. When stealth meets speed, the outcome belongs to those who decide where, when, and how the fight is allowed to happen. The debate between stealth and speed isn't ending, because modern warfare keeps demanding both. Future air combat will not be fought by single aircraft acting alone. It will be shaped by teams, networks, and layered decisions. Stealth aircraft will push information forward, thinning defenses and controlling awareness. High-performance fighters will protect airspace, respond to uncertainty, and dominate when plans unravel. Each fills a gap the other cannot. This is why air forces do not replace jets like the Typhoon with aircraft like the F-35. They integrate them. One opens doors quietly, the other holds ground loudly if needed. Together, they reflect a reality that no single design philosophy can solve every problem the sky presents. The real shift is not technological, it is conceptual. Air combat has moved away from duels and toward orchestration. Victory is less about the tightest turn or the smallest radar return, and more about who controls escalation, who forces the opponent to react, and who preserves options the longest. In that environment, restraint matters as much as aggression. Judgment matters more than raw performance. That is the uncomfortable truth behind modern fighters. The most dangerous aircraft is not the fastest or the most invisible. It is the one flown by a pilot and supported by a system that understands when not to fight, when to delay, and when to commit fully. So, when stealth meets speed, the outcome is not decided in the sky alone. It is decided earlier, in planning rooms, in assumptions, and in the discipline to let the fight unfold on your terms, not the enemy's. And that is where modern air power now lives, not in spectacle, but in control.